most common portrait of the FBI we get from movies and TV is of agents swooping in and making arrests. But in fact, some of the Bureau's most important work is done by men and women who may never come face to face with a criminal in their entire career. They work for the FBI laboratory, the largest and most famous forensic lab in the world. It's located on the 3rd floor of the Hoover Building. What happens here often makes or breaks a case.
Well, our mission fundamentally is to bring science and technology to the collection, the processing, and the exploitation of evidence.
There are 43 different divisions that make up the lab, from trace evidence to explosives to DNA. On any given case, a dozen or more may be called upon. The lab also serves other law enforcement agencies, and the workload is huge. More than 20,000 cases a year with more than 200,000 pieces of evidence. Just handling that much material is a monumental task. This is the Evidence Control Center, first stop for packages arriving from law enforcement agencies all around the country. Every day, hundreds of pieces of evidence of all shapes and sizes are cataloged and then distributed to the appropriate labs for analysis. In charge of the Evidence Control Center is Mark Olson. I can't believe how much stuff you get every day.
Certainly, we get all types of evidence, from small vials of blood to car hoods and the like.
And some of the things are huge.
Yes, we have another facility where we put large objects in.
Like entire cars?
Yes.
Incoming packages are computer tracked and sent on to the appropriate unit for testing. Blood, tissue, and other biological samples are stored in freezers to await examination. There are 1,100 lab workers, all with special clearances, whose scientific detecting tools run the gamut from ballistic tanks to genetic analyzers. There are specialists of every imaginable sort here, even in something as seemingly mundane as paint samples.
What we have here is the National Automotive Paint File, and what it is a collection of all of the colors available on vehicles dating back to the earliest Fords up till present time.
In one Los Angeles case, a hit-and-run driver was tracked down from a particle of car paint lifted from the clothing of the 10-year-old victim.
We will use this as one of our tools to come up with make, model, and year of a vehicle.
The FBI lab is a virtual Smithsonian of crime. They keep extensive libraries of materials on hand. In the toxicology unit, there are storerooms of foodstuffs, cleansers, household and automotive products, anything they might need to be matched to a clue. In the firearms division, they have a complete collection of every type of ammunition, 16,000 specimens of various calibers. Then there is the gun collection. More than 5,000 weapons are displayed on the racks in this room. There are so many guns.
We've got quite a few in this collection. You might be interested in some of the historical items up here.
Oh, those are some pretty famous ones. Pretty Boy Floyd up there.
Right, this is his actual pistol that he used.
Oh,
Here
John Dillinger.
Here's the Smith & Wesson revolver, yes, that John Dillinger used.
Why do you have a collection like this?
We testify in court, in actual court cases. We need to familiarize ourselves with guns that aren't evidence guns. We don't want to be tampering too much with them and altering them anyway. So we can use these.
Some of the most painstaking labor takes place in bombing cases. Here in the explosives unit, examiners must piece together a jigsaw puzzle of evidence. Not even the destructive power of an explosion can hide clues from them.
We try to get a sense of how the bomb was put together and what was used in the bomb. We try to come up with an idea of how they functioned and see if we can't recreate that in the laboratory.
A case in point, April 19th, 1995. A truck bomb rocks the federal building in Oklahoma City. In the worst act of domestic terrorism ever in the United States, 168 people are killed.
They've got a hot device, get them back!
And more than 500 injured. A piece of axle first leads FBI agents to the shop where the truck that carried the bomb was rented, then to the bomber himself. Investigators used test blasts like this one to better understand how the evidence was scattered. There is nothing too trivial to be a possible clue. Trace evidence examiners can turn anything from a strand of human hair or a single carpet fiber into silent but condemning evidence. In the notorious kidnap murder case of 12-year-old Polly Klaas, a single beard hair found in Polly's bedroom helped identify Richard Allen Davis as her killer. One of the busiest divisions in the lab is DNA analysis. These days, nearly invisible cellular material from the saliva on a licked envelope or semen from a rape case can often be enough to solve a crime.
It's a power that works both ways. It's the power to convict people, to include them. It's also the source of exculpatory information. And many people have been released from prison on the basis of DNA evidence that wasn't available when they were first tried.
In a typical case, lab scientists must first determine whether DNA material is actually present on an item of evidence.
This item
Was used in a crime?
what we're looking for is any signs of blood. Just because we may see a dark colored stain, we don't know exactly what that is until we chemically test for that. Through these
The
chemical
test
tests,
is a
we
simple
determine-
one and only takes a few moments to produce results.
And if
That
there's
was
a color change,
big color change.
exactly. If there's a color change, that indicates the presumptive presence of blood. This test is very sensitive.
And then you go into the actual finding out by DNA whose blood it is.
Exactly.
As you might guess, constantly dealing with the hard facts of violent crime can have an effect on lab workers.
When you open up evidence here, you're taking out baseball bats, guns. They're items that have been used in violent crimes. I would expect that it affects your view of humanity sometimes.
If we think too much about the human level, it's very difficult to do our job. It's given me a whole new respect and a whole new perspective on a lot of things. It made me remind my parents to lock their door at night, that's for sure.